Welcome to Channel's Business Global with me, Juliana Olayinka, from our studios here in London. Coming up on today's show, UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer faced pressure from the EU during his talks in Brussels on Wednesday. A proposed youth mobility scheme allowing young people from the UK and EU to live and work in each other's countries for up to 2 years was a key focus of the discussions. I'll be bringing you the latest. And an innovative Nigerian dermatologist, Dr. Olufola Kemi Adefe, is set to receive a prestigious €25,000 grant to advance her vital research on improving the quality of life for people with albinism in Nigeria. We'll explore how this award could help shape the future of dermatological care, the role of businesses in supporting public health campaigns, and her long-term vision for skin health solutions in underserved communities. Then later, I'll be looking back at some of the biggest business news stories of the week. But first, the Conservative Party conference in Birmingham has ended with the final speeches of the 4 remaining leadership candidates: Robert Jenrick, Kemi Badenoch, Tom Tugendhat and James Cleverly. The candidates outlined their visions for the party's future as it looks to recover from a general election defeat earlier this year. Jenrick, the current frontrunner, defended his positions on military operations and migration, while Badenoch emphasised wealth creation. As the race tightens, especially with Cleverly gaining ground in betting odds, Conservative MPs will vote next week to narrow the field to 2 candidates. The new leader will be announced on the 2nd of November.
It is time to tell the truth. The truth about our party, the truth about our politics, the truth about our future. For too long, politicians have been scared of the truth. For too long, politicians have hidden behind spin. For too long, politicians have told the public what they wanted to hear and then done their own thing. Well, I say enough. It's time to remember who we are, what we stand for, and what we want our country to be. 7 years ago, I stood on this stage, so proud to be a Conservative Member of Parliament. We had just lost our majority, but our party was still in government, and that was all that mattered. But I am no longer a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed backbencher. I am a veteran of 4 government departments and a former cabinet minister. I have seen the system from the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, the system is broken. It is not enough just to be in government, because you can be in government and not have power. Without a plan to fix the system, you end up just announcing policies, doing media, and waiting for something to happen. And then you run into trouble, as this Labour government are quickly finding out. For us, it led to a reckoning, a historic defeat, worse than 1997, a defeat that could extinguish the Conservative Party. We have to get this right. We have to renew, and then we can regain the trust of the British people. Otherwise, the left will get more time to ruin our country. And they've started quickly, haven't they? I actually thought it would take them longer to fall apart. But it is clear that this Labour government will leave a mess behind. We will not manage that decline. The Conservative Party does not manage decline. The Conservative Party reverses decline. Our country needs us. we must not let it down. For this to work, we need to go back to first principles. Why are we conservatives? So much of what made me a conservative came from my parents. My late father was full of wisdom. He used to say, "Never take your spouse for granted." He also said, "Never run for fun because you'll get bad knees." But he also taught me responsibility. He would say 80% of what happens to you is down to you. He was right. And as a GP, he taught me how to solve problems. He would say, if you get the diagnosis wrong, the treatment won't work. I miss my dad. He taught me the most important lesson of all. Never be afraid to do the right thing. No matter what people say about you, just do the right thing. My father taught me not to be afraid. I was born here, but I grew up in a place where fear was everywhere. You cannot understand it unless you've lived it. Triple checking that all the doors and windows are locked, waking up in the night at every sound, listening as you hear your neighbors scream as they are being burgled and beaten, and wondering if your home will be next. When you've experienced that kind of fear, you're not worried about being attacked on Twitter. You appreciate how rare and precious it is to live in a country with security, democracy, equality under the law, and above all else, freedom. Free speech, free enterprise, free markets, conservative freedoms, conservative principles. I am not a conservative because I studied politics at university. I'm an engineer. I am not a conservative because my family always voted conservative. I am a conservative because I have seen what happens when a country loses sight of those principles, and that must not happen here. But if conservative principles are so great, why aren't we in government anymore? The truth is, we lost faith and stopped acting like conservatives. We stopped being leaders and became managers. We spoke right and governed left, and when we went after Labour votes, we lost our own. There is no greater example than net zero. We set a target with no plan on how to meet it, just so politicians could say we were the first country to do so. Now we have a net zero strategy addicted to state subsidy, making energy more expensive and hurting our economy. I am not a climate change skeptic, but I am a net zero skeptic. I did not become an MP to deliver an agenda set by Ed Miliband. Promises must come with a plan. Plans must be based on principles. That is the conservative way. But in government, we did not always keep our promises. We promised to lower taxes. They went up. We promised to lower immigration. It went up. Why? Because the Treasury said high immigration was good for the economy, but we knew it was not good for our country. And we did not always defend our values. We did not defend capitalism. Capitalism does not mean corporatism. It does not mean monopolies. It means free markets and competition. We didn't always protect those principles. Like Labour, we raised taxes on business, corporation tax, capital gains tax, we taxed dividends, and we regulated like Labour. So instead of encouraging people to start and grow a business, it got harder and harder. Like the 1970s, we face a battle of ideas against the left and its desire for ever greater social and economic control. It is socialism returned, socialism in a suit. The British public knows that socialism doesn't work. They know. But if you give it a new label, you can sneak it in. You can promote class warfare under the banner of equality. You can take freedom and choice away from families by telling them that Ofsted inspection reports are unfair. If you call communism environmentalism, you can close down businesses, block the roads, and stop people going to work. This new politics has made us afraid to defend the people who need us, like young conservatives. They tell me they are afraid to share their politics with other students because they'll be attacked, that they are marked down by lecturers because of their beliefs. We have let young conservatives down. We need to defend them, champion them, and give them a party they can be proud of.
During his visit to Brussels on Wednesday, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer faced growing pressure from EU leaders to agree a new youth mobility scheme aimed at rebuilding post-Brexit relations. The proposed initiative would allow young people aged 18 to 30 from the UK and EU to live and work in each other's countries for up to 2 years, encouraging cultural exchange and practical work experience. European politicians emphasise the scheme as a key token of good faith in mending the UK-EU relationship. Although Starmer had not previously committed to the proposal, the EU push placed it high on the agenda during discussions. The scheme could serve as a strategic compromise, potentially securing concessions in other areas of negotiation.
Ursula and I have agreed that we can do more together in a few key areas in particular: promoting growth and prosperity, working together on shared challenges like climate change, energy security and illegal migration, and strengthening our shared security and stability. So we're putting our relationship with Europe on a more solid, stable footing. That's what the British people want: a return to pragmatic, sensible leadership when it comes to dealing with our closest neighbours, because they know that this matters for growth, for jobs, and for security. The detailed work to take this forward starts now. We've agreed to hold regular UK-EU summits at leader level to review progress, starting with a summit in the first half of next year. Now, of course, there will be issues which are difficult to resolve, and on areas on which we will stand firm. There will be no return to freedom of movement, no return to the customs union, no return to the single market. But we will find constructive ways to work together and deliver for the British people. Tone does matter. Resetting does matter. And that has been a very important part of the message that I have carried into the meeting today. A return to pragmatism, to doing business in a respectful way, and in a way which I think will focus on deliverables rather than charging to the nearest camera to use a megaphone.
In a moment, I'll be speaking with Nigerian dermatologist Dr. Olufola Kemi Cole-Adeife. But until then, here's a breakdown of some of the biggest business news stories of the week. Japanese financial markets took a sharp hit earlier this week, with the Nikkei 225 dropping over 4.5% after Shigeru Ishiba's surprise election as the new leader of the ruling Liberal Democrat Party. Ishiba's hints at potential interest rate hikes to combat inflation triggered investor concerns about higher borrowing costs, leading leading to a sell-off, especially in exporter stocks, as the yen strengthened. The Topics index also fell 3.3%, reflecting broad market losses. Analysts now predict slower economic growth in Japan due to potential rate hikes, which may hurt exporters. The French government has announced plans to impose temporary tax increases on the nation's wealthiest individuals and large corporations. The move is part of a broader strategy to address the nation's budget deficit and comes amid ongoing debates on economic recovery and fiscal responsibility. The tax hikes, described as temporary, will primarily affect high earners and major corporations in sectors such as finance, media and energy. Prime Minister Barnier and Finance Minister Antoine Armand have emphasised the necessity of these measures to narrow the country's significant budget deficit, arguing that there are few alternatives without broader reforms or spending cuts. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, has reached a valuation of $157 billion following its latest funding round, which raised $6.6 billion. The round was led by Thrive Capital, with contributions from Microsoft, Nvidia and SoftBank, among others. This valuation places the firm among the world's most valuable startups and reflects growing investor confidence in AI technology's potential. The funds will support OpenAI's continued research, increase computational capacity, and development of new tools to tackle complex industry problems. The valuation also solidifies the firm's leadership in the AI sector, positioning it to rival major tech companies globally. And now to my final topic. Dr. Olufola Kemi Adeife, a leading Nigerian dermatologist, has been awarded a prestigious €25,000 grant from La Fondation La Roche-Posay to advance her research on improving the quality of life for people with albinism in Nigeria, the country with the highest prevalence of the condition in Africa. Her project will assess the challenges faced by people with albinism, such as sun damage, skin cancer risks, and discrimination. The 6-month programme will focus on patient education, an online community platform, and workshops for families and teachers to improve care and support. I'm pleased to say the doctor joins me now for more on this. Dr. Olufola Kemi, some of our viewers may not be familiar with you. I want you to talk to me about the €25,000 grant that you received from La Roche-Posay. Congratulations on that. That's a massive achievement, a really big endorsement, not just for you, but for the work that you do at a time where, goodness me, social media and filter, lighting, studio, it can try to airbrush away certain skin conditions, but they still very much do exist. So I suppose the message may be tougher. Talk to me about what you're going to do with the grant to sort of expand your research and development.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say a big thank you. I'm very wonderfully appreciative of this grant from La Roche-Posay, L'Oreal. It's been, a work in progress, and I'm so happy that, we have the opportunity to work, do some research in this area where I'm working with people with albinism. And that has been a passion for me for a very long time in my career as a dermatologist, handed over to me by my mom, who was also a dermatologist, but is late now. And we've worked with the albinism community for many years because of the vulnerability of people with albinism to the sun. They tend to have very terrible skin cancers that, are sometimes fatal. And, this can be prevented by sun-safe behaviors, by educating carers, parents, teachers on how to care for people with albinism and how to improve their quality of life. They also have challenges with vision, and so this affects their education as well. And so the research that we want to do with this grant is to improve educational awareness or knowledge of both carers as parents, teachers, in that care for people with albinism, on how they can best help them to, avoid the sun and also improve their educational abilities, because of their visual impairment. And we want to evaluate the quality of their lives and also have something we call therapeutic medical education, which educates them on how to care for themselves, how their carers, immediate carers, can better care for them to prevent, things like fatal skin cancers and, poor education, and increase their access to healthcare. So La Roche-Posay has graciously given this grant to be able to carry out this research. And I'm really excited, at the prospects, at the possibilities that this research can.
Yeah, it's very exciting for all of us celebrating you. And I think L'Oreal did. They picked a lady with very good skin, so it's great. You're a great ambassador for the work you do. Before I let you go, Doctor, please talk to me about this online community that you've set up, which I think is really important. Apparently, it goes for 6 weeks. There are so many online communities out there. A lot of women. You mentioned about albinism, but then you also do skincare in general. So women do like to talk about skincare. Talk to me very briefly about this.
Well, the program, the research is on albinism, and we're going to create an online platform where people can, so the medical education is kind of maybe like on WhatsApp or Telegram, and we'll be able to keep educating and engaging with people with albinism, their parents and teachers, and talk to them about, at the times when you should avoid the sun, make sure you use your umbrella, your sunscreen, how to apply, how to, when to go for health checks, and that's helpful. But beyond that, I also have a good online community on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, where I discuss skin health and, try to educate people about safe skin health practices. And that has been, quite successful, and I've received a lot of engagement. So by collaborating with these public awareness campaigns, they can help to dispel myths. They have the visibility that we health professionals may not have, and we can leverage on their visibility to be able to create awareness, reduce, dispel myths, reduce stigma, and, promote healthy skin behaviors. So there needs to be a lot more partnership between, the private enterprises, private companies, and healthcare professionals to be able to bridge the gap in access to equitable healthcare. People have actually appreciated some of the work that is done on that platform, and I'm glad that dermatologists are able to have more visibility on social media to balance out the information out there, because there's a lot of information out there. Some of it is not so accurate or not so helpful. So having experts on the social media space to balance out the information about skin health
it's fundamental. And I think, this is just the first step in a long road of improving dermatological care in Nigeria. Dr. Olufola Kemi M. Cole Adefe, who is a consultant physician and dermatologist. Thank you so much for your time and expertise, and congratulations on receiving that grant.
Thank you, and thank you to La Roche-Posay and L'Oreal for the grant.
Thank you, Doctor. Sadly, that's all we have time for today, but as always, do get in touch with your comments and suggestions. I'll see you at the same time next week for more in-depth business analysis on Channels Business Global. Goodbye.